should in part be denied depending on the forgiveness or otherwise of the victim. Without further ado, I would like to call upon the Prime Minister. Here.
We think this debate is about like whether or not those kind of forgiveness of victim should be inside the framework of CJS or not. We think that like those kind of victims' feeling and forgiveness is important, one of important criteria to decide a criminal sentence. That's the stance of our side. That is why I'm going to tell you in my speech why the victim's feeling should be the criteria to decide criminal sentence. Before that, I clarified our stance and model. Our stance is quite simple. We don't deny the current criteria and the current factor to decide those kind of criminal ranks. For example, we are more than happy to care like rehabilitation and retribution, etc., etc. Only we add the new criteria as one factor to decide criminal sentence. We don't deny like other criteria or which is more important, etc., etc. And firstly, our model, we are more than happy. We allow the increase or decrease of lengths can be decided by the victim, and we don't think like dramatically like the victim don't have right to dramatically increase amount of lengths or dramatically decrease amount of lengths. Those kind of this exact lengths is decided by the court. For example, if court decide like 5 years like criminal sentence, in that kind of circumstance, after that, for example, victim can decide from for example from 4 year to 6 year, or etc., etc. We think the exact amount is only like case by case. That's a not burden from our side. And secondly, we think that like we don't mandatory like we don't think the victims also have a right to reject those kind of right. If they want to abandon those kind of right, we allow those kind of things. The victims don't need to decide whether or not they forgive or not. Based on that, I'm going to tell you like why the victim's feeling should be the criteria to decide criminal sentence. I have 3 reasons why. Firstly, we need to decide by the consequence of crime. That is why we think the victim's feeling is so important. And we need to calculate how the consequence is severe, how the consequence is so harsher. We already use the criteria to about like society harm towards a society. If the many harm exists towards a society, in that kind of circumstance, we increase those kind of punishment. We change like criminal ranks, and also we think that we need to care like individual harm. Data, please. Like we think that forgiveness of individual deeply connected to individual harm. What do I mean by that? Like if the victim forgive the criminal, in that kind of circumstance, mental harm of victim is small than in the case of not forgive. In the case of like some victim don't forgive the criminal. In that kind of circumstance, harm towards victim is bigger than the case of the forgive. That is why we think that also like whether not forgive or not is deeply connected in the amount of individual harm. Also in the amount of individual harm that should be the criteria, because we need to care like we need to care like consequence of crime. That is why we think the victim's feeling is also important one of criteria to decide criminal sentence. More than the second reason is that unfortunately we think the current law system and current court lose the value what they need to achieve. Why in the status quo, like court punish criminal instead of victim? We think that the court, data please, premise of court can punish is that they are proxy of the victim. Instead of victim, they can punish. That's the important premise of the court. Given that, we think that also like court should get the voice from those kind of victim, because they are proxy, they are representative of the victim. by those kind of reasons, we need to care. The court also need to care those kind of character of victim and feeling of victim. Unfortunately, in the status quo, we only care the character of only the criminal and how they, what kind of feeling they have, etc., etc. We have to also care because they are the proxy of the victim. They can punish instead of victim. That's why we think that victim's feeling also that should be the criteria to decide criminal sentence.
Okay, assuming the completely same environment and same crime and same reflection, but if victim's fathers are easily anger, in this case the sentence will increase, but the victim's father is assuming that this is very kind person, the sentence decrease. Why that, even though this is unrelated to the crime or environment, why this is justifiable?
As I said before, how the father of victim are angry is important criteria, as I said before, because this is a consequence of crime, how they anger and how they can forgive the criminal. That's also like consequence of crime. That's an important criteria, as I said before. And thirdly, lastly, we think that unfortunately in the status quo, criminal cannot recognize like importance of victim's feeling, importance of forgiveness. Why that so? In the status quo, regardless of forgiveness of a victim, like same amount of punishment criminal get. That is why we think that in the status quo, criminals don't care like what kind of feeling the victims have and why they forgive or why they don't forgive. However, in our paradigm, like criminal also care those kind of feeling of victim because those kind of punishment are fully are influenced by the forgiveness of victim. Why it's so important? Why it's so important? Because in order to be rehabilitated, like simply like criminal have to consider like what kind of feeling victims have, and like for example family of victim have, and how they suffer, or etc. etc. In that kind of circumstance, only in our side, criminal can understand the importance of victims' feelings, importance of victims' forgiveness. That is why we think from those kind of three reasons, victims' feeling that should be the criteria to decide criminal sentence. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for your speech. Now I'd like to call upon Leader of Opposition. Here.
So, Mr. Chair, we look at three things. Firstly, we look at the principle of criminal justice system, why, even if the victim feeling should be considered, why taking this proposal is a kind of unjustifiable thing. Secondly, we will also tell you the practical consequences, particularly in the case of organized crime, how organized criminal tacitly pressurize victim family to forgive, and moreover, you are damaging the proportionality principle. We think it is immensely problematic. Lastly, we will also tell you individual crime cases, how also individual crime cases also damaging the proportionality by by increase their gravity or punishment, and also it will damage the proportionality at the end of the day. So firstly, let's look at the case of principle of criminal justice system. They say the CJS should be considered based on many factors, including the victim's damage, like there is a factor like the isolation, rehabilitation, retribution, etc., etc. And in the status quo, already based on the gravity of crime, we already, proportionately, punish the criminal based on this isolation, rehabilitation, or etc., etc. We think we have to, clarify the word of proportionality. Their side, our side agree on, right? We believe the proportionality for what? Proportionality for the gravity of crime, right? Whether it is proportionate to the gravity or consequence of crime or not. And they say because the victim feeling include the gravity of crime, or because it is one of the consequences, therefore they should take this proposal. However, burden of proof on their side of the house is why taking the motion purely, victim actually purely decide the whether in this sort of expert other than the gravity affect the rehabilitation. For that reason,
the decision making, it takes
this proposal broke, and thirdly, if
so much, and also